Welcome to the town square at Pardubice, just 104 kilometres east of the capital of the Czech Republic, Prague. All is tranquil. It's picture postcard stuff, but the scene is very different just a mile and a half away because we're on the eve of the Velka Pardubice, one of the most grueling, one of the most terrifying, one of the most exciting, one of the most enthralling races in the world. It's steeplechasing, but not as we know it. First run in 1874, the Velka Pardubice is the Czech's oldest traditional sporting and cultural event. Like the Grand National, the sheer distance of nearly 7k is tough enough. But then there are these 31 terrifying obstacles. Insanity surely beckons those who ride over these fences. But let's take a closer look. We start off with a railed hedge. That's pretty easy. We then have a railed hedge and ditch. Fence number 3 is a small water jump. And then the deadly taxis, which looks easy from this side. But just look at the drop here. Next up is the Irish Bank, and then comes the Czech Republic's equivalent of the canal turn, preceded by a railed hedge with a ditch. Fence 7 is easy, it's just a double hedge. But you need your wits about you for 8 and 9, a double railed hedge. Fence 10 is an English jump, ditch and hedge. So is 10A, but it's back to a railed hedge and ditch at 11. And a rail hedge and drop at 12. The drop and ditch fall away at 13, it's just a railed hedge. We have a timber rail in the middle of a ploughed field at 14. And a drop at 15. Then comes the stone wall, it's fence 16, which gets everyone ready for a snake ditch water jump drop. That's 17. You don't want to be falling in there. And also in the big water jump, that's 18. Nasty. We move on to 19, a small taxis jump. And then the gardens, a double railed hedge, it's 20 and 21. 22 is a dry ditch, while 23 is a nice looking steeplechase fence. 24, a railed hedge. While 25 is a big English jump, it's a ditch and a hedge. If you're still surviving for 26, it's a rail and ditch. And 27 is Havel's jump, a railed hedge and ditch. 28, 29 and 30 are normal steeplechase fences for those left standing. It certainly takes a special horse and possibly a mad jockey to negotiate something like this. Entry, of course, has red rum. The Pardubice has the 4-time winner, Zalesnik, and the 3-time scorer, Korok, who won despite being slightly lame. The Englishman, George Williamson, remains the only man to win the Velka Pardubice and the Grand National. More recently, Charlie Mann was heroic on It's a Snip.
It's a Snip was a great day, yeah. It's a race that I came out to see in '89 with Gavin Ragg, and I just thought, you know, it was a winnable race, and that's why I bought It's a Snip for £4,000 at Doncaster Sales from Ted Walsh, and it was a great day, yeah.
And we know sort of most jockeys are mad, but you've got to be a lunatic to ride around here, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, actually, to be fair, it walks a lot bigger than it rides, and it's actually a really nice race to ride in. I remember Dunwoody rode it the year after I won it on Snippy, and he was on a high for about a week later, because it's a super race to ride in you're going at a very slow pace and you can enjoy it. And as long as you have a horse that jumps well, it's a good fun race, and it's not like any other race we have in England.
There's a great story with Snippy, though, that I think technically probably if it was run again this year, you probably wouldn't be allowed to ride.
Technically, I probably wasn't allowed to ride then, actually, but...
You print your own licence or something?
Well, I couldn't get a licence because I'd broken my neck in England, and I had a lot of problems getting a licence. And if the truth be known now, I didn't have a licence, no, and I had to actually get one printed somewhere. And yeah, in those days, it was something I wanted to do, and there wasn't going to be a lot that was going to stop me doing it. So yeah, we did it, and that was it.
So It's a Snip. A winner for Britain a long time ago, was it 1995?
95, yeah.
1995. But let's check out the runners and riders for the 2008 Velka Pardubice. 1 is the incredible Decent Fellow, a 13-year-old gelding trained by the legendary Joseph Vanna. In the last 6 Velka Pardubices, he's finished second, first, fourth, third and second. He's a legend in the Czech Republic. Number 2 is Cassia, a 9-year-old gelding trained in the Czech Republic by Jan Blecker. He's won 2 small races in his 18 career starts. Number 3 is Marath, an 8-year-old gelding trained in the Czech Republic by Pavel Kinsky. He's won 5 of his 30 races on the flat and 1 of his 18 over fences. Number 4 is Clip, a 12-year-old gelding trained in the Czech Republic by Milan Tamer. Between 1999 and 2006, he disappeared from racing and went into eventing. Since his return, he's had health problems. 5 is Mr. Land, a 9-year-old gelding, another Joseph Vanna runner. He's won 2 of his 29 races, ridden by Libor Sedlar, a young rider with just 5 wins under his belt. 6 is Care du Renan, a 12-year-old gelding trained in the Czech Republic by Martin Liska. He's a safe jumper, but he's described in the programme as always slow, and nowadays even slower. 7 is Profil, an 8-year-old gelding trained here in Czechoslovakia by Jiří Janda, who's a qualified vet. 8 is Nadover, Charlie Mann's big hope. Charlie, of course, who rode It's a Snip to win in 1995. 7th behind Comply or Die in the Grand National. Number 9 will be Hirsch, a 12-year-old gelding trained by Stanislav Popelka. 10 is the likely favourite 16, an 8-year-old grey mare trained by Joseph Vanna. She won the 2007 Velka Pardubice quite comfortably from Decent Fellow. She'll be ridden by stable jockey Joseph Bartos, who's chosen this one out of all the Vanna choices. She's going to be a warm market leader. 11 is Numero Dieu, who could be the big danger to the favourite 16. Numero Dieu is a 7-year-old gelding trained in the Czech Republic by Radek Holčák. 12 is another British contender, Ivoire de Bolo for Ferdy Murphy. Ivoire de Bolo's run in this race before, indeed was 4th in 2007. We caught up with trainer Ferdy Murphy.
Well, he was 4th last year, and I had said to Keith last year, because it is a pretty tricky track to hold him up, but I only said that to him so that he wouldn't get lost. But he assures me this year he knows where he's going, so I think he'll probably make a little bit more use of him, and he thinks he can save quite a bit of ground on the bends. So I think he'll be fairly handy. He's trained a lot better this year, Matt, and we're hopeful.
13 is Juventus, a 9-year-old gelding trained in the Czech Republic by Joseph Vanna. He finished 2nd in the Velka Pardubice in 2006. 14 is Jung, an 8-year-old gelding trained in the Czech Republic by Pavlína Bastova. He's won 2 of his 14 appearances over fences. Number 15 is Amon Gris, not surprisingly a 9-year-old grey gelding trained by Milan Tamer. He was useful on the flat, winning 7 races and finishing 5th in the Czech Derby. He only started chasing, though, in 2006. 16 is Fatal Mac, a 9-year-old trained in Italy by top handler over fences Paolo Favero. He's won 12 of his 35 races over the big obstacles, mostly in cross-country races at Murano. The jockey is Raffaele Romano. He's well ahead in the Italian Championship. So those were the runners and riders for the 2008 Pardubice. Let's join them at the start. Commentary from John Hunt.
So here we are, the final seconds before the Velka Pardubice. They come into line, Clip getting very, very warm beforehand. And last year's winner, 16, the grey nearest to us, as they get underway. Just a simple rail hedge to start the race. And they're all over that one safely enough. As Clip leads them in the early stages. Watch out for 16, who's now just dropped back into mid-division as they come over fence number 2. They all appear to be safely over that. That was a ditch, and they're heading now towards fence 3, which is the water. So it is Clip who's got the early lead. Hirsch is riding behind those, and Ivoire de Beaulieu for Ferdy Murphy's yard settles down in 3rd place as they come towards the water. All 3 of those leaders give it plenty of daylight. Just a slight mistake from Nad over towards the back end of the field. But they're heading now to the Taxis, the most famous fence on the course. Only twice before in history have all the runners safely negotiated the Taxis. The hearts will be pumping then on the approach towards it, and Clip is the first one over it. Ivoire de Beaulieu got a little bit in close, but he's over safely, and it would appear that every single one of the runners has got successfully over the Taxis, and they now head over towards fence number 5, which is the bank. One or two stuttering over this one, understandably, but they're all safely over it. Nadover's further back in the field, one of the back markers. Profil is also racing towards the rear of the field. Icardu Renom is also right at the back in the maroon and white hoops, and Marath is another one towards the rear, but it's Ivoire de Beaulieu who's come through together with Clip as they attack the next fence, and they're all over that one safely, the leaders, just watching the stragglers over it too. The mistake came from Marath, free from the back of the field, but he's all over safely. That was the canal turn in effect, and now on towards fence number 7, which will be the double hedge. So no great alarms in the early stages of the Pardubice as Ivoire de Beaulieu comes over this one very safely with a 3 to 4 length advantage over Clip, who's moved into second position. Across the ploughed field, Amon Gris, who's another of the greys, 16 being the other one. Amon Gris has now moved much closer towards the leaders in that pale blue jacket with the red sash and also the dark blue cap. Jung is another one who's making ground. This is the double hedge they're at now, fence number 7. And as they take it, they're all safely over. In fact, that was the double rail hedge, fences 8 and 9. So all safely through that. Ivoire de Beaulieu still leading up here. From in second place, Clip. Over the next fence they go. This is fence number 10. It's the plain hedge. And looking to the stragglers, in a bit close there was Profil, but is still going towards the rear end of the field. Fence 11 it will be next. This is the hedge, but with a ditch to follow after it, so it can be quite a trappy fence, and it all the time takes them towards the halfway stage. Before it, though, quite a sharp, almost 90-degree turn in towards it. Coming through to lead now is Amon Gris. Amon Gris out in front. Just a little bit of confusion there as to which way round that particular doll they go. 3 of them went to the right, the majority went to the left. We'll have a look back at that in a little bit more detail later on. Well, one's come down there, and we can see that getting to his feet is Clip's rider. Clip came down there, number 4, Jan Faltezek. Very, very annoyed with that error. He was very prominent throughout the race, but unfortunately came down. Just a little hedge taken next, and they're all the time moving towards the halfway stage of the contest. They're across a ploughed field, heading towards the timber rail, which will be next, and then they'll jump this safely and turn just gently right-handed towards the next of their fences, which will provide them with a little bit of a drop. Now a sharper right-hand turn as Ivoire de Beaulieu still leads the field. In second place is Amon Gris, who's just going along very tidily in behind the leaders. They're followed through by the likes of Jung, who's just lost a bit of ground towards the inside. One who's improved is Numero 2 in the black and white Czech colours. He's moving pretty well. Decent Fellow, another of the former winners, together with 16. He's now right in contention with these as well, as they now take the little solid rail hurdle and over that one safely, with only 2 or 3 of them, Icardu Renom being one of them, getting detached. So now they come right across the ploughed field once again, and they are now well past the halfway stage in the Velka Pardubice. A couple of traps to watch out for shortly, water, including a big water in 4 fences time. A little bank there with the drop is the next one they negotiate, and again they've all done well to negotiate that one safely. The stone wall approaching next, and Amon Gris continuing to take up the running here. From in second, Decent Fellow. Ivoire de Beaulieu still showing up very nicely. Numero 2 is just in behind those leaders. Fatal Mac is now beginning to improve, just a touch towards the leading few too. And 16, previous winner, the second of the greys, back in about 5th or 6th place as they now come to the water. This is the smaller of the 2 waters, and it's caught a couple of them out there. Profil coming down, and also Maraf, both experiencing nasty looking falls. Their jockeys not happy, but they look safe and well as they now turn in towards the big water jump. This will be fence number 18, and Ivoire de Beaulieu is the one to get the first look at it, and he measured it very nicely indeed. Numero 2 made a little bit of a mistake there. Further back in the field, Hirsch, another one to make a mistake as they now turn on towards the small taxis. Ivoire de Beaulieu took it really handsomely here, giving Ferdy Murphy a real big run for his money, with Keith Mercer on board, leading the field then into the second half of the Pardubice here. The double rail hedge will be next. Ivoire de Beaulieu over and through that one safely. A slightly tentative jump from Nadover, who's just threatening to lose touch with these leaders now as they set off across a ploughed field once again, now towards the dry ditch. Ivoire de Berlier taking them towards fence number 22 of the 30 all told. Amon Gris is in second place, followed by Decent Fellow, who continues to run well once again in this in third position. Racing in fourth place is 16, who still travels pretty well. On 16's outside is Hirsch. There's a slight gap then back to Numero 2, who's the horse in the black and white quartered jacket, and Fatal Mac is next, and Nadover's in the distance with a fair bit of work to do from there. All over the next fence safely. Ivoire de Beaulieu still continuing to give Keith Mercer a great run for his money. Amon Gris chases him in second place, followed then in third position by Hirsch, who's now up on the outside of Decent Fellow, and 16 Numero 2 and Fatal Mac are the next ones, all safely over the very next fence. Turning then with Juventus next in the field, sharply left-handed now towards this very big hedge. Takes them on towards the closing stages. Fatal Mac made a mistake. Loose horses run across the field there. Goodness knows how they missed them all as they now take the railed hedge and on now towards the 25th fence. This a huge ditch hedge, and they'll really be thinking about the possibility of winning the race if they can get safely over this next one. Coming through is Amon Gris to just take a narrow advantage as they approach it, followed by Decent Fellow in second place. Decent Fellow, in fact, jumped to the front there. Decent Fellow now leads. Another mistake from Fatal Mac, who's been into back pedal, but it's Decent Fellow. Amon Gris almost slipping up on the ploughed field there was Numero 2. He drops back to fifth place. 16's in third position, and Ivoire de Beaulieu's in fourth, but now starting to tire. Just these final three little fences to take, and then the run in. The grandstand's in the distance. The victory's in within sight now, and as Amon Gris is the one to go for home, he's chased by 16, bidding to win the race for a second time. Decent Fellow now back in third place as they come now towards the second last. Amon Gris, 16, Decent Fellow. Hard to see Ivoire de Beaulieu getting in a blow in behind in fourth place. In fifth is Numero 2 as they begin in earnest now to turn for home in the Velka Pardubice. They head then for home as they turn towards the final fence. It is Amon Gris who's got a slender advantage from 16. Over the last they go. Amon Gris was in a bit tight. 16 in second place. The two greys then remain well clear of the rest of the field in the Velka Pardubice. The final 200 yards. Amon Gris, 16, trying his level best. He hangs in slightly behind Amon Gris. The line is just ahead of them here. Brave, brave souls as they head to the line. Amon Gris is this year's winner. From in second place, 16, a tremendously brave run, but he couldn't quite pull it out. The two of them well clear. Victory goes to Amon Gris, number 15.
Wow, so a dramatic 2008 Pardubice. No sooner, though, had the runners crossed the line and a steward's inquiry was announced. Now, if we pause it here, we can see Clip in the middle. Your eventual winner, in inverted commas, Amon Gris the Grey, and the British raider Ivoire de Beaulieu here. Now they all go to the right of this marker, which is the correct way to go. As you can see right here, the eventual second place horse, 16, the Grey, back in about 7th place at the moment. But as we just speeded up there, they come to another marker in a minute, and you can see that's Jan Falterjek on Clip in the blue with the red sash. You can see there that there's mayhem up front. Jan's heading right, some of the others are heading left. There's Keith Mercer and Ivoire de Beaulieu also seemingly heading right. They have to go to the left of those markers, the right as we see them. And you can see here that there's mayhem. And as we stop it there, not wrong way, Amon Gris. Wrong way, Ivoire de Beaulieu. And wrong way, Clip with the red cap. A dramatic moment, those three horses seemingly taking the wrong course. And look at the next fence, what happens to Clip here. Poor old Jan Felterjek in third place. This horse takes a crashing fall. And if we just forward wind it a little bit further, look at the reaction of the jockey. This is what Jan thought about that. He goes running towards the fence. Goggles go crashing down. And then he says to the fence, I am not happy. I've taken the wrong course. Now I'm down. Take that. Have my helmet. Now, Jan Falterjek wasn't the only jockey taking his wrath out on the Pardubice course, because if we join them here, the leader is Amon Gris, who has already taken the wrong course. But looking behind for horses Profil, green colours, and Marath, black colours with white stars. They take a horrible tumble at this water jump. Avangri gets over all way, okay. Also 16 in mid-division, but look at the green colours here. Profil, straight in the water. Marath, the black, straight in the water. And now look at Josef Sovka, the jockey of Marath here. He takes a tumble, and he is not a happy fella. Profil's jockey in the green, ducking out the way. But look at Josef Sovka, Marath's jockey, trying to get a helping hand here. Whack! Not a happy bunny. One more classic moment in the 2008 Pardubice comes up after the next fence now. Have a look here, we'll just pause it. This is Rafael Romano. This is the legendary Joseph Varna. Now, if we just roll on to the next fence, you'll see that the horse in the black and yellow, that's Fatal Max, starts to fade, and Juventus and Joseph Varna is beginning to make a little ground. We just speed it up over this fence. Everything going to plan as the horse in black and yellow starts to fade. But now watch, what does Joseph Varna do in the red cap? He puts his right hand out. Is he going to pat Romano on the backside? I don't think so. Look at this. If we just pause it there, Joseph Varna, what are you about to do? And what he's about to do is say, hey, hun, you are dropping out the TV screen. I need a whip. Pass your whip over, and you'll see Joseph Varna gets a new whip, having dropped his earlier in the race. So the crowds are ebbing away after a dramatic 2008 Velka Pardubice. The great taxis claim no victims this time around, but there were casualties in the race itself. Avangri, the winner, chucked out, disqualified for taking the wrong course, as were Ivoire de Beaulay, who finished 5th for Ferdy Murphy and Keith Mercer. Keith won't be happy tonight. He was fined 500 kroner. That's nearly £20. Well, the Brits will be back next year to try and do what Charlie Mann did in 1995, win the Velka Pardubice.